Hello all, welcome back to the channel. So let's start something new. Today we will be going to see how we can integrate Azure Active Directory with the ASP.NET Core Web App. Everything, all these things can be done very simply. It's a very easy step. You just need to follow this step I'm going to follow. Basically, currently I'm trying to, we'll see that how we can integrate Active Directory in an existing ASP.NET MVC web application. So for that let's create a new application. So I will select ASP.NET Core Web App MVC in the C#. Let me name is something training AD integration. I'm leaving everything as a default. Currently I'm setting .NET 5.0 as a default framework. Let's click on the create. So in a minute, this will create a simple ASP.NET Core Web MVC application. We'll see, okay, here it is. So first thing first, let's try to run the application to see it's working fine. Okay. Just click on the run application. So this will ensure that your application is working fine. Then we'll move to the integrating the Active Directory. Okay, here you see. Look like my application is working fine. It's loading perfectly. Yes. Okay. So let's close this. So the next step and the very first step is to create the app registration. So for that, let's open the Azure portal. Go to portal.azure.com. Log in with your account. So I'm logging with my personal account. For training purpose, I'm using my personal account. I would also advise you, if you are for learning purpose, then go use your personal account, because in that personal account you will have all the full access to the Azure Active Directory. In case if you are using your school applications or if you are using your corporate Azure account, so there are the chances that you don't have access. You may having less privilege to create any application. So I'm using my personal account. I have all the admin right here. Let's log in. If you have enabled the two-step authentication, it will ask for approving. So I'm currently using Windows Authenticator. So let me open that authenticator on my phone, do the authentication. Okay, here is my Authenticator app. Okay, approve. I'm approving. You just need to match the code. See, I just approve. This is because I have enabled two-step authentication in my Azure account. So that's why it asks for to logged in. As for the second factor authentication. Next, go to the Azure Active Directory. Please note here we are going to do the app registration. So once you are logged into your Active Directory, you can see that tenant ID is given here. There are some primary domain. You can use this one, bhargavpandelive.onmicrosoft.com or something. You will get something. Here you can say this is Azure AD free account. Now, if you want, here you can go to the app registration page. Go to the new registration. Create the application name. So I'm going to use the same name which I have already created this one. training AD integration. So I'll make this one TRAI and training AD integration. Do not fill this information as of now. We'll fill up this one. This is also required. So click on the register. So see here, we are done with the app registration. We'll come back here and see because there are some more configuration need to be done. So here you will see that application ID. This is the application ID of my current application, which is training AD integration. So we may be required this value for configuration. This is the tenant ID. If you see that this tenant ID is the same which was earlier I have shown. Let me go see B048. So if you see that, I'm going back to my home page, Active Directory. So if you can recall, this is the same tenant ID. So this tenant ID actually shows your organization ID. Currently, I'm using my personal account. So this is the default tenant ID assigned to my account. Okay, so we are done with the app registration. Go to the app registration. Scroll down here, you would be able to find out all the information. Let's go back to the application. Now the next step. We have to install some NuGet package. Go to the manage NuGet packages and let's install some dependency. Go to the browse tab and select Microsoft Identity.web. Here it is. Click on install. So this will install the Microsoft.identity.web required NuGet component. Accept. Here it is done. We need to install one more component, that is called identity.web.ui. Click on install. Okay, I accept and we are done. So now we are done with the required dependency. So required dependency is all installed in my application. Now the second step, let's go to the next step. Right click on the application, go to the add and add new scaffolded items. Here you will see one more tab, identity. This is because we have installed this Microsoft Identity NuGet package DLLs. So that's why I'm able to see here. Click on add. A pop-up will appear where you need to select some of the icons. Sometimes it may take a minute, and one very interesting thing I have noticed that on the very first beginning it normally failed. So not to worry, if you see some error, then you just need to go ahead and click add once more. So here you can see that a lot of default features are already available. So we are not going to use everyone, we are going to use this login and logout only. Create data context. If it is available, use that one. If not, then click on plus and create. Click on add. Most of the time when you click on add, it's fail. So need not to worry, just click on OK and again click on add. This will be done. This I'm not sure why it's happening, but I have noticed this is happening most of the time. With the very first time it's failed, but when I click on add once more, it generates the code. In the second step, it generated. So now we have done three things. First, we have created app prestation in Azure. Next, we have created one ASP.NET MVC app. Third, we have installed the required dependency. Fourth one, we have created the scaffoldings items. And if you see that once it is done, you will see another folder called area will be created. It has the identity and some predefined code. You can see here, login, logout, another automatically created. Next step would be to add the information in the app setting.json file. So open this app setting.json file and add Azure information. Azure AD. I would suggest to use the name as Azure AD because once if you are using Azure AD as a name, it is by default. So while configuring the startup.cs, you are not required to add this value. It will automatically pick up. Now we have to provide here some instance URL, client ID, tenant ID, callback URL, and sign out URL. So for that I have already created this one. So just to save the time, I'm copying this one. Mostly the instance ID would remain same, https login.microsoftonline.com. Tenant ID, now go back to the Azure, and if you see here the tenant ID, copy from here and replace. Similarly, go to the Azure app and copy the client ID. Now callback URL, I'm writing this one as signin.oidc and signout.oidc. Let me make it small. So we are done with the setting in the app setting.json files. Now let's save the code. Now the next step to go ahead and make the changes to the startup.cs file. Open the startup.cs files and we have to add some code in this configuration file. This is the piece of code, this is the main code which will be used to redirect to the Azure, do the authentication, get the token from there and authenticate your application to the Azure AD. Similarly, you have to write a piece of code over here. So I've already copied that one, those code here, and I'm copying. I will put this code in my GitHub account and you can copy from there. So first you need to add this one. So now if you see that it's showing some error. So you have to resolve this error by adding the required using statement identity.web authorization. Click on, you're done. See, all those error are resolved. So now we are done. See here on the very first step, we are adding a service that is Microsoft Identity.Web Authentication and using the configuration. Here if you see that, if I put a comma over here, you will see that it accepting a second one as well. And if you see that by default, this is the Azure AD. As in my app setting.json, I have used this one Azure AD exactly same. So I need not to enter over here. But if you want to use something else, then you have to put that value over here. So currently I'm not going to make any changes. I have already used Azure AD, so I'm going to change this one. We are near to done the applications. Save it. Now we are left with only one application here. Between app routing and use authorization, we have to call this one use authentication. Save it and we are done. To test the application, Let's do Control F5 or run promptly here. So if everything, oh sorry, one thing is missing, it will throw the mirror. So let me stop this. So once you are done with the coding, you have to open one, you have to do one more setting. Go to the property folder and use the launch setting. From here you have to note down this SSL port. Now go back to the Azure portal and go to the authentication. Open, okay, go to the this one. Open your application. Go to the authentication. Here you have to add those two URL. Those two URL will be called as sign in URL and callback URL. So click on add platform. Currently you are going to use web, so click on web, and here you have to use https:// localhost, and this is my callback URL colon, and from here you have to copy this SSL port 44370 slash sign in dot oidc. Similarly for callback, sign out URL, copy this one, change this sign in to sign out. Scroll down, you have to select this ID token and configure. So all the settings are done. Go back to the application and run it. Okay, spelling mistake. Go back to your application here and go back to app setting.json. Very interesting. CLI not, no, CLIENT. Save it, run it. See, it is being redirected to login.microsoftonline.com. Now here you see that it is asking for this app to be registered. So that's why if you are using your official account or your school account, maybe that you don't have access or you don't have permission to add. So at this point it will throw the error. So that's why I request for training purpose use this your personal account only. Otherwise connect with your Active Directory administrator. He will grant you the required permission. This application, this prompt will appear for very first time only because this is first time it is sending call back to login to microsoftonline.com. Okay, click on accept, and yes, application is working. So we are done with the integrating. Now let's add one more button here that is called logout or sign in, something like that, so that at least we can show that who is currently logged in and these can be used anywhere. Okay, go ahead, go back, open the application, go to the view, shared, layout, open this layout.cshtml. Okay, and this is the main body portal where most of the content are rendered. It's up to you where do you want to place. If you want to place in the somewhere in the top navigation bar, you can go ahead and add, but here I'm going to add in the registration. Okay, so here let's use something build, that is h3 tag, and use @user dot identity dot name. Save it. Let's rerun the application. Oh, Control F5. Everything look good till now, and here you can see it's giving my logged in account name. Okay, now let's add sign out option. For that, I'm going to add a sign out over here itself. So for sign out, I have already copied some code over here. So let me copy this code just to save some time. It's very self-explanatory. We just need to add ASP controller account, which will go to the account one, and it will call the action sign out, and you can name this area as Microsoft Identity. And from here sign out, or you can type something, you can put anything what you want. I'm putting there logout. Here even if what, you can type something like welcome, save it, do the control F5. As I am already logged in, it is not asking me for to logged in. So now let's go ahead and log out. It is asking that which need to be logged out. Okay, log out, close it, and let me close this one as to avoid any automatic login. Okay, let's rerun the application. Good. Select the account, sign in. You must have noticed that it is not asking for the second two-step authentication, or it not asking for app registration because application is already registered. And here you can see it showing me welcome and this one. Now go ahead and log out. So it'll automatically log out from the application. So that's all about the integrating Microsoft Azure Active Directory with ASP.NET Core MVC application. Thank you everyone. Thank you for time.